Hello folks, hope you're having a great day today. Hey, today I want to take a look at H.G. Wells' The Moth. It's another short story. One of the things I've been doing for you folks over the last few months or so is occasionally been taking a look at an H.G. Wells' story, and in this case, various short stories that he has. I have this collection for you. I just picked it up like this past week. And what I'm doing is I'm going to be reading, this is basically a collection of every single short story that H.G. Wells wrote. Now, most of his stuff is online. You can get it. It's simple and easy to grab. But one of the things I do want to do for you is to give you kind of an opportunity to see some more H.G. Wells stuff that you may not be familiar with. And today we're going to be taking a look at one of the first stories I've read from this. But again, I'm going to be, hopefully over time, reading a short story in here, maybe every day or every other day or something like that, for a bit. So that way I can kind of get a feel for it. Every single short story he wrote is in here, even ones that aren't science fiction. So you'll get a chance to see ones in here that are just not all the genres that he wrote in here. Anyway, I'll take a look at The Moth. It was published in the 1890s, in 95, right around the time that some of the classics are being written, like things like Dracula and such. It's a short story. Basically, it's basically. So I'll go over it and plot with you now, and then I'll pull back from it a little bit and then give you some of my takes on it. But basically, it's sort of a horror story in the sense that you have two scientists who are at odds with each other, and I mean like at odds with each other. Wells is very much, you can tell, he's very much a man of words, intelligence, probably would consider himself in the scientific community, and so forth. And anyway, one of the things that he does, he talks about this, is that people who are of science, men of science in particular, can be really antagonistic towards each other, particularly if they have different views or if they disagree with each other. So these are both scientists that are in the sort of the insect community, and they specialize in things like moths, butterflies, and things like that. So what's going to end up happening is we're going to have one of our main characters that we're going to be following through the story. He is going to have discovered what he thinks is a new moth in Britain, where he lives. And unfortunately, after publishing some of his papers and work in various journals, there is another scientist who believes that he has falsely identified a new species when he has not, and publishes a scathing retort. And this begins some personal attacks and some massive attacks within journalistic articles, at conferences, and so forth. So you'll see a lot of these things happening, and you'll get a lot of explanations, details happening between the spat that these two men are having professionally, and it will follow into their personal lives as well. So one of the things you're going to see, is you're going to see the two of them. Our point of view character is definitely more somebody who is erudite. He's the one who publishes the first work. He's erudite. He's well spoken. He is somebody who's good at words, if you will. Whereas his foe is not an attractive man. He's a little bit older, pudgy. He's more of just a scientific, introvert. So when those two argue, crowds and younger people in the field and so forth will cheer on our point of view character against the other one. And then what winds up happening is that after a career of like 15, 20 years of going at each other, he is going to send his final assault on this scientist. It's a scathing one. He spent like weeks working on it and building up to create his strongest assault yet. And then our scientist, in fact, then he'll die after it. And he dies of flu, pneumonia, and such. After that happens, our main character, our point of view character, begins to start to feel bad. Most of the rest of the community does too. They feel that he stepped over the line. And he starts to see the person that he did in various things, chess pieces that he starts picking up. He takes some time off as per the request of his doctor to spend some time with himself, getting himself better. So he spends some time reading, he spends some time, picking up chess, things like that, but he's not able to get past the death of his person. Soon he's going to pick up some additional things are going to start to happen, and he's going to become obsessed, and he's going to start to see a moth that reminds him of the guy whose his personal attacks probably helped to contribute to the death of. And he's going to start to see this moth, and he's going to want to try to capture it. And now I'll leave you there. It's probably about 60% of the way through the short story. It's about 9 pages in my oversized collection I showed you earlier. Took me probably about 25 minutes to read for the first time, maybe less. It was not a long read at all. A lot of these older short stories really aren't going to be, which was one of the things that makes them pretty good. Anyway, that's the Moth for you. Again, I'll hold it off there. I really did feel that this does have a Charlotte Perkins Gilman yellow wallpaper feel to it, in the sense that you have this person who's going to take a descent down into madness, and you're going to see the madness sort of portrayed in a number of ways. It also, I almost thought for a moment that Wells was going to go to a place that Lovecraft and Heald went to in their short story, Winged Death. I reviewed Winged Death for you in October as a part of Cthulhu October, but what winds up happening in Winged Death is basically you have a couple of people who wind up investigating somebody and you have these two sort of insect experts, and one of them has really upset the other one, so they will create and design a designer bug in order to kill the other one, using by combining it with other bugs, so it would look like a new species by not combining it like Dr. Moreau or anything, just breeding it with other species that are dangerous and deadly to create a new one that will still be dangerous, and thus will kill the other person who goes out to inspect it. So that's what they wind up doing, and that's a clever way of, I think, killing somebody without being conned. And I thought that might. And after having started reading the Moth, I started thinking, is this where this is going to go? Because that maybe that's where Lovecraft got the idea from, or Heald. The two of them wrote the story. So it could be her instead. But you get the idea. But apparently that's not the direction they decided to go in. But that's fine. I enjoyed the sort of self madness, and I do like that sort of path, and it's good, and it's very strong, and I think that you'll like it. Check it out on things like Goodreads. It's like a 3.5 stars for a short story. It's pretty good for a else. And anyway, I'll link you to it later on. I'll give you a couple of links. If you're someone like me, you like to read something in hard, I'll give you that link to Amazon. I'll also go ahead and link you to some of the free stuff online, like on some of the free places that you can link to it, so you can read it for yourself pretty quickly. If you're not like Project Gutenberg, where I know you can find all of his writings that have been published. So there you go. There's the Moth. Let me know. Have you read it? What'd you think of it? I'd be happy to engage you with it further. Did you agree or disagree with any of my takes or thoughts on it? I'm happy to talk to you about that and more. Hey, if you watched this video to the end and you liked it, there's no reason not to hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more of these reviews to follow of classics in fantasy, science fiction, and horror that I try to unpack for you folks. And then also, if you watch this video to the end, I just want to thank you for your time. Because we all have busy days and busy lives. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's something really humbling, and I appreciate it.